My name is JJ Arms III. I'm an international private investigator for the firm Arms International Investigative Services. I'm also a security expert. So, the use of women and children by the cartels as hitmen is not a new thing per se, but it is becoming increasingly more common. With respect to how old children are being recruited at, from what I understand and from what I've seen, children as young as 7 years old are being kidnapped from their families and basically groomed and raised to be assassins. Um, the reason that women and children are being utilized is because they make basically a perfect hitman. Because whereas someone who has armed security, they have a security detail, they're being protected, they're in a restaurant, they're in a hotel, they're on the street. If a male subject comes up or anywhere near that security detail, they're going to set off all kinds of alarms. They're going to attract attention, and they're going to be, probably pushed back. If a child comes up to that detail, they're probably not going to be looking at that child as a threat, or a beautiful woman in a club, or a beautiful woman in a restaurant, or a beautiful woman in a hotel, or even a not so beautiful woman. That woman is not going to be looked at with the same scrutiny as a male would, which makes them sometimes more deadly. In El Paso, Texas, which is my hometown, back in February of 2024, this year, they captured FBI captured a woman by the name of Michelle Angelica Pineda. They used to call her, or she was known as La Cheli. She was a well-known hit woman, and she belonged to a group of well-known hitmen in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, called the Artistas Asesinos, the artist assassins. They were a group of hitmen that originally started. They were like street taggers. That's where they got their name from, as far as the artist correlation. And they are a very well-known group of hitmen that operate out of, Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, and they are particularly known for worshiping La Santa Muerte, which is the patron saint of the drug traffickers. What is particularly chilling about this woman was that she's only 22 years old, but she was already known and suspected of committing many, many murders, and she was particularly known for her brutality. She was known individually for dismembering her victims, cutting their hearts out, and putting their hearts as offerings at the altar of Santa Muerte. Um, I mean, in the past year or two, her and her group have been attributed to the killing of at least 20 people in Juarez. She was arrested in El Paso, Texas, in a motel where they found drugs, they found weapons, they found a machete, um, which you can imagine what they used the machete for. And she was actually released to Mexican law enforcement and extradited back to Mexico. To be honest with you, that's the scariest part of this whole thing, is because there's no rhyme or reason. There's no set look or persona as far as what does a hitman look like? What does a hit woman look like? What does a child hitman look like? They can look like anyone. In the cases that we've handled in Mexico, the things that have always shocked me the most were not the crime itself, but the faces of the people that commit the crimes. We've caught kidnappers that had committed horrendous offenses. They'd killed the victims. They had family members that had been participating in the kidnapping where they ran the safe house. They were the ones that took care of the kidnapped victim while the ransom was being extracted. And when you capture these people and you line them up and you look at the faces, these people look like your gardener, the woman that serves you your dinner at a restaurant, the little old grandmother down the street. It's scary because the bad guys don't look like bad guys. And to answer your question, as far as being vigilant, you can't be paranoid when you're traveling, but you should be vigilant. If anything doesn't feel right, if people walk into a place and you get a really bad vibe, something's just not right, they're nervous, they're acting nervous, and your instincts are telling you to get out, you should get out. If you want to go travel to a certain area of the world where it's known for violence or drug trafficking, you have to be hyper vigilant. You have to take precautions, and you have to do things that will ensure your security and your safety by not going to places where it's off the beaten path, where the likelihood of you being victimized or caught in a crossfire is much higher than a nicer part of town. You may not get the full experience, but you may not want to get the full experience.